Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build at Home. Wash your hands and settle in. I'm your host, Matt Forte, and I'm coming to you from my home, as is our next guest, presumably. Real quick, if you're a fan of the show, as you know, we would typically broadcast live from our studio in the heart of New York City. Obviously, that is a terrible idea to be doing that right now. So we're not. We're all at home. And in fact, the team rallied, and in the last week, they built an entirely new show that you're seeing right now to keep the lights on, keep the fire burning, keep people on the payroll. It's pretty amazing what they've done. Whole lot and not a whole lot of time. So just a shout out to the team that made this happen. Last bit of business, and then we'll get to the proper show because I got a pretty amazing guest here with us. But this is super important. As of today, over 132.7 million school meals have been missed due to coronavirus-related school closings. The No Kid Hungry campaign has a plan to feed them, which is the good news, but they need everyone's help. So please go to nokidhungry.org and check it out and pitch in. You're already home. That's a heroic effort in and of itself. Do something with that time. Go to nokidhungry.org. Give some money over there and help get these kids their meals. So, folks, wherever you are, make a crazy amount of noise because I don't know about you, but I'm excited. The great Clive Standen is here. Clive, how are you doing, man? Thanks so much for being on the show. How are you holding up?
We're good. We're holding up really well. So it's been a bit crazy to set this little Skype call up today. We've got all three kids at home, and they're all homeschooling at three different schools. So my wife is doing all that right now, and I'm stuck in here with this little crazy like having a fourth child.
Oh my goodness! Oh wow, that is
Pliskin, my Australian Shepherd.
Pliskin is wonderful. What is that little toy Pliskin's got there? Is that
got this weird like chef toy that smells of maple syrup, and when he bites it, he goes around the house stinking of maple syrup all day. He won't let it go.
I would submit that Pliskin is practicing. Oh my God, is Pliskin okay?
He's running around like a crazy thing.
More Pliskin, please. More Pliskin. Did you say three different schools? Does that mean you guys have to?
Yeah, three kids at three different schools. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, my eldest, he's kind of getting set up for the day with his. He has a Skype with his teacher, and then he has assignments to kind of work on, and he scans them back and sends them back. And then my daughter is 13, and she's doing live Zoom classes with all of her. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you hear what's going on. You see every single one of her classmates is live on this thing, and her teacher. It must be terrifying for the teacher not being able to actually physically reprimand them.
Oh, you just got to take their word for it that they're reprimanding themselves. That's neat. Yeah. That's it.
But my little one, he's 9. He needs proper homeschooling from us as well. So we're just kind of doing the reading and the writing and the kind of telling the time and the maths and which is crazy. I mean, it's
unbelievable.
Full respect to teachers what they have to go through.
That's one of the big things that you see a lot of people tweeting about and talking about is just we've always known that teachers were so important and such a pillar of the community. But now that everyone's having to do it for themselves, it is an eye-opening
experience. School of Clive, 2 students have already been suspended, and the teacher was caught drinking on the job.
Homeschooling, a different experience. Well, thank you, one, for making the extra effort and getting this to work and being here and hanging out with us, especially amongst all this chaos that you got going on. But I'm happy to hear everything's doing well and everybody's doing well. I saw this was really fun in celebration of the big premiere. You've been posting a lot of dad jokes, which I thought was really funny. Where'd that come from?
Yeah, well, I was just sitting home with my kids, and my daughter Edie made a joke about just the other thing that's contagious is laughter, and it became out of that. And then we started talking about. I was sitting with my little boy Rafferty, and we just did some dad jokes, and we started, counselor dad jokes. And I just think it's important right now when we're all stuck at home, and just to keep morale up. And I'm taking this really seriously, but I think it's important to kind of find some humor in events like this as well, and just to kind of helps keep everyone's morale up, and keep it all 100%. Lighthearted.
It's also a fun activity aside from like doing all the homeschooling and stuff together. It gives you like a fun thing to do together and come up. Like, are the kids coming up with the jokes? They feeding you ideas?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When they've heard all my bad jokes anyway, I think they keep reminding me of all of my bad jokes that I've told over the years.
What's your go-to? You got a good one like that you keep in the pocket, like a favorite dad joke?
Oh, my favorite, I don't know why, it's I started taking all the watch straps and trying to make a belt out of them. Right. It was just a waste of time.
I like that one. I don't know about, have you ever heard this one before? You ever heard of the chameleon who couldn't change color? It was a big deal. He had a reptile dysfunction, from what I understand. That's one of my.
And why do crabs not give to charity?
I have no idea. I don't.
Because they're shellfish.
Of course. This will be the next 7 minutes of our interview. Just ping pong. No, let's keep going. I could do this all day. We've already lost viewers. Let's keep going here. The important thing, man, everyone's
Let's
safe.
get Pliskin back. Everyone will come back.
Yes, there we go. Pliskin, give me a dog joke. Give me a perfect. How old's Pliskin? You said it was
He is 2 on the 1st of July.
Oh my goodness. So no energy to get out of his system there, huh? Probably.
I know, well, that's the good thing. He's loving this quarantine because we can go out in the car into the middle of nowhere and just have really long walks and hikes.
Just let him run. Yeah.
Way more than he's used to. So
that's pretty awesome.
Probably why he's been all sprightly now because he hasn't had one this morning.
God, ignorance is bliss, man. Pliskin is living the dream right now. Well, tell me, what are you guys doing? So you got the homeschooling, you're doing that, the dad jokes. You guys watching a lot of TV, playing video games, playing board games? What else are you guys doing around the house?
It's been good for me. I've been away in Savannah filming Council of Dads. So I've been coming back when I can, but sometimes when you're...
Julio, I lost him.
You guys lose me for a second.
Yep. Oh, but I see your audio and you're back. So you were saying you're out in Savannah filming Council of Dads, forgive me. Castle of Dads also something we should explore, though. That could be a good show as well.
I just wish I could show you what this is doing right now. This is ridiculous. Trying to find tennis balls and things under the sofa.
Honestly, when the camera goes off, that's exactly
said the word WALK, and I didn't realize it.
Got it.
Completely mental. It's
how I've been whiling away the hours as well. As soon as the camera goes off, I just look around the house for tennis balls, anywhere that I can find them. So I get it. I understand it.
Anyway, so yeah, I was away in Savannah filming, but sometimes when the episode comes up and your character's more of the center of attention, you don't get to come back as much. You get prepping and rehearsing as well as filming. So this has been good for me, just being able to spend a lot of time at home with the kids. And we've been doing movie nights, watching, and it's been nice. They've been asking me what my favorite films are, and we've been going through some of those films, things like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and things like that, which they never would have wanted to watch before. Yeah. And just generally, the homeschooling's been fun. Like Rafty and me, we've been making things, and we were making a Kobe Bryant out of a bottle and a polystyrene head, and kind of making the Lakers jersey and things.
That sounds amazing.
And they're the kind of things I don't usually have time to do as a dad because I'm away, and so it's been nice to just have nothing to do at it. No imminent audition coming through or big scene to learn or anything. It's nice just to be able to have that time
and be with them. Yeah, 100%. Not just Pliskin, but the kids as well. Yeah. All right, well, talk to me a little bit about the show, man. I was reading, I think I saw this when you first found out about it. You actually had your eyes on Tom's part. You wanted to play the father who we meet in the first episode. Yeah. They wanted you for Anthony. Tell me about that.
Well, I'd been offered a lead in another pilot for a different network, and I had to kind of decide very quickly if I was going to do it. And so I was taking my car into the workshop I've got this Jeep, and I was taking it down in the workshop, and it was pouring with rain in LA, and I was thinking about whether I was going to do this pilot. And then my manager just rang me and said, before you make any decisions, we just had this script come through.
Love it. Keep going.
It's like being held hostage by a dog with a squeaky ball.
It's fantastic.
Not now. I have to sit in them all.
Perfect.
Yeah, so he suddenly went, I've got a script come through. It's called Council of Dads. I didn't know anything about it. It wasn't on my radar. And he said, but you've got to read it straight away. And I'm like, I'm in the pouring rain. I'm about to get an Uber back to my house. He said, you've got to read it now because the showrunners are leaving town at 2 PM.
My gosh.
I really want to see you. And this was about 11 o'clock in the morning. So I kind of scooted home as quick as I could. I turned on my computer. I started reading it. And by page 21 out of 55 pages, I was crying. I was in bits. And I couldn't really figure out why. It was brilliant writing and brilliant story. But it somehow hit me. And I started thinking about how when you cry, when you go to the cinema or you're watching something and you cry, it's a strange feeling because you're crying watching someone you don't know. It's a fictional character. And something hits you, and it's usually that you find some empathy in that character for what he's going through and the strife that he's going through. Or sometimes it can be because you see yourself in that person. This script did both to me because I'm a dad of 3.
Yeah.
And my kids are similar ages to the kids that Scott has. And I went to the meeting. I picked up the phone to my manager and I said, I want to take this meeting. I went to the meeting and for some reason I started pitching myself for Scott, the dad, because I was like, I can play this. And I think it's because every character I usually play, I'm attached to it because I like playing characters that are far removed from myself. I like disguising myself and getting under the skin of somebody else. I'm not a method actor. I don't like playing myself, and I don't really like drawing on too much of my own life experiences where it gets in the way of the character. So I found myself just going, I can play Scott, and then they were like, but you're in for Anthony. Scott dies in the first episode. Anthony is the leading character. We want you to, yeah. And I said, and it just dawned on me, the reason why I was avoiding Anthony is because my best friend, my best friend in the whole world, best man at my wedding, kind of, he's been there for me all my life. Was diagnosed and dying of colon cancer at the time, and I was also in LA, and he was in England, and I wasn't spending a lot of time with him, and I just felt like this was going to be wrong for me to be playing this character. I didn't know how to explain to him. And they said, well, this is why you probably need to think about playing this more seriously, because this is a point in your life when you can give something to this character. And I did, and I remember thinking, when something scares you that much, this is a good reason to play it. And that's why I signed on. I literally signed on in the room, and I was ready.
That's pretty amazing. I've I mentioned earlier at the intro that the show premieres tomorrow night. It's coming on right after the This Is Us finale, which is awesome lead in. And I've had a chance to talk to a lot of people from This Is Us, and they've all universally have told similar stories of crying at the table reads, crying in between the takes. Like, it's just a very emotional show to work on. What has your experience with Council of Dads been similar? Have it sort of like that was your introduction to this world? You're crying just reading the pilot. What's it been like working on it?
It's exactly that. And the thing is, it's important to say I'm not crying all the time because it's depressing and it's sad, and sometimes it's full of humor and it's uplifting, and you sometimes find yourself crying for the complete opposite reason as well. The first couple of episodes obviously are dealing with the fallout of Scott Perry, the father of the family. He passes away, and these dads come into the fold. His friends from in and around his life, some know him at certain pivotal moments in his life, and some have not been around for so long, but they come in to try to take over the fold, keep his legacy alive, and his values alive, which I think is important. It's way more than just being a godfather or anything. It's trying to keep this man alive for his 5 children. So the first couple of episodes deal with the grief of that, but then it's about joy and about what comes out of that, and who shows up, and having family around you and getting through it together. And we found ourselves, even at the read-throughs, there was never, ever, ever any Kleenex at the read-throughs. And it was always just a tear fest. And we'd all want to go out afterwards and just kind of, just let it all go, because every episode is full of something.
How did that experience compare to your time on Vikings or Taken, some of the other shows you've done? Because it's kind of a different speed for you being on Council of Dads, right?
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I suppose in Vikings, when we do the big battle scenes, and because it was full on and we did it all ourselves, there's very little CGI, and those battles were pretty real. Only the fact that we didn't use real weapons and we didn't really stab each other in the guts. I mean, we were smacking each other with full on weapons, and and we were there all day, usually in hailstorms and wet weather. And so the reason why I bring that up is, at the end of the day, it's like playing a sports match. At the end of the day, you want to just go down the pub and have a beer and go, you see that moment when I hit you in the face? You need to just let it out, all of that. And it's the same kind of thing. That's kind of almost a physical kind of energy. This is an emotional energy that it has to go somewhere at the end of each day of filming. And our cast got very, very close, and it was really nice to just have that that support network where at the end of the day's film you had somewhere just to go, let it all go, because you're holding on to all those emotions. And what I love about Council of Dads is there's a lot of TV shows out there where you find yourself crying, or you find yourself getting emotional because the music comes in, and because soft focus or whatever it is and plays, and it's not actually the drama.
Right.
These scripts were making me cry, were making me emotional just from reading the words, which is the important thing. It has to come from a real place. It has to come from a root of reality, which you can, art mirroring life. When you look at yourself, there's a lot of TV shows out there that it's almost like a formula where they pry on you by, dropping the music in the right moment.
100%.
Playing with your emotions that way. And that's great if you can add that on to make it even bigger, but there has to be something there, in the foundations, in the bare bones of the piece itself. And
I got a chance to see the pilot, and it absolutely, all of that is there. You're right. It's one of those things where the story is so specific and unique that it ends up having universal appeal, and everybody can find a way in through one character or multiple characters and see themselves in it. Very similar to the experience of watching like an episode of This Is Us. 2 different planets, but like the DNA is sort of similar in the way in which the stories are told. We're going to wrap up in just a little bit, but I had one more question. Something I thought was really interesting. I saw the creators for your character. They were actually, they were big fans of and inspired by Anthony Bourdain. I was reading, when you're given a direction like that, or when they have such a specific iconic person in mind, how do you as a performer then identify how to pull from that and use that information without it being an impression or something like that? How do you make
I
that
didn't
useful?
want to, I'm not, it was more about basing his mentality and his and who he is in the documentaries and things. It's about a lust for life and about food is life, and how you can put people together and get the best conversations out of people just over food, and food brings people together. And so, but I also took away that kind of, he has that kind of very arrogant type of sensibility, and you know, he's a man and knows what he likes and likes what he knows. And but we also, from the book, drawing from the Council of Dads book, he seemed to be there within some of the characters that Bruce had written about. There's a very big thing about live the questions. And one of Anthony's, my character's tattoos, I've got tattoos all up my arm. They're all fake, and I designed them all with Tony Phelan and Joan to kind of try and say something about the character. And there's one that says live the questions, which is about, you know, don't go through life just trying to find the answers, just live the questions. And it's a quote. Yeah. And it's very much Anthony Bourdain, about just going out there and finding out new cultures and finding out. And I like to imagine, it helped with my backstory about where Anthony had been, because I really immersed myself in Bourdain's documentaries and going around the world, and I thought, this is the kind of character who's done that. He's not had much family, and he's traveled everywhere, from Thailand to Asia and, you know, to France, and that's where his culinary genius has come from. And now he's come back to Savannah, to his roots. So that's kind of more where it was. It was just a basis of having something to lynch onto with the chef. I also, bizarrely for this, is the first time I've done this for a character. It came out of nowhere. I just thought I'd try it, and it started working for me. And when something works for you, you just keep going with it. But my favorite band is Mumford & Sons. Okay. And I started going to the gym, and I had this playlist of Mumford & Sons songs, just playing over and over and over again. And I started being able to, maybe it was just running hell for leather that puts your brain in a different place, but I started making backstory stories through the lyrics of their songs, but not with me, with Anthony. So suddenly a song that Marcus Mumford had written about him and his ex-girlfriend or whatever, it became the imagery, the imagination in my head suddenly put Anthony in the scenario with whichever past girlfriend he'd had or whatever, and they'd break up and their thing. Sometimes it was obsessive, sometimes it's about God and spirituality. And I found myself just being able to use those songs as an emotional recall, a fake emotional recall. Because in Vikings, I used to use music for my own self. There's certain things that Clive relates to, and boom, and I can just be there. But I started making a fake emotional recall for Anthony, which I've never done before, and I've not really heard any actor talk about it that way before. But it started working, where I could just hear a song, and I could start imagining where Anthony had been when he was 19 or when he was 25 or whatever, and put himself in these fake situations, which it's the same as writing down like a journal.
Right. Have you?
But it was I could just put a song on and suddenly go back there.
Forgive my ignorance of your complete schedule and what you've worked on since Council. Have you worked on anything since Council of Dads yet? Like, have you been able to employ that technique on another project?
No. Council of Dads literally just wrapped filming.
Okay. Got it. Well, I'd be very curious. Whatever you do next, come back, because I want to hear about how that technique's evolved. That's really cool. I hear Pliskin giving us the signal back there. I think we got to wrap things up.
He's sitting by the front door.
But Clive, I can't thank you enough for figuring out how to do all this with us and coming and hanging out and talking to us, especially with everything you got going on. It means so much to us. Thank you. I'll remind the world, everyone that watching, that it's Tuesday, March 24th, after the This Is Us finale. Do not miss the premiere of Council of Dads. The show is fantastic. If you like This Is Us, this is perfectly, you're going to love this. And if you've never seen This Is Us, this is still just a great show. You should just watch Council of Dads. It's a great show. Do not miss it. That's pretty much it. I want to remind everyone watching also nokidhungry.org, a fantastic cause. Go please and pitch in. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Clive?
No, just everyone keep doing what they're doing. We're all in this together. Stay at home, keep washing our hands when we go in and out of the house, and we're all going to be good. We're all going to get through this better people, better humans.
Here. Cheers to that. Thanks so much, Clive. Have a good one, man. We'll see you for the next thing.
Take care.
Thank you.